One of my favorite rappers at the moment is Chance the Rapper. One of his most recent popular songs is "When the praises go up, the blessings come down." I love the tune, but with the theology, I disagree.
That and more coming up on this episode. Today's episode is brought to you by Logos. Learn more about the world's best Bible study software at logos.com/themove. Today we're moving through John chapter 6 verses 22 to 71.
And as always, the question would be, have you read it? If you haven't, down there in the description, it is. And we will put about 3 seconds. I forgot to get my timer here. We'll put about 3 seconds. We'll put 10 minutes. And then we will start this in, 5, 4.
It's coming, I promise.
3, 2, 1. Here we go. So, Jesus, the bread of life.
Yeah.
Because this is what we got.
So we see here the context again. Jesus coming around. The crowd's on the other side of the sea. They see only one boat there. They watch the boat go away, and Jesus never got on that boat.
That's
so
right.
They're like, okay, then where is he? And they show up, and they're like, dude, how'd you get here?
And remember, when how he got there was he first started walking on the water. The disciples were in the midst of the chaos, of the darkness, and again, all of these elements. And so far, we've seen John use these Old Testament elements, right? Things that would harken back to stories from the Old Testament that would bring, it's a hyperlink, right?
Yeah.
It's like, this is trying to connect to that. And so you see Jesus, he started walking on the water, gets in the boat. Immediately they're on the other side. Now the people are looking for him. And what is it that's motivating them to actually seek after him?
The people are hungry.
They're hungry.
They're hungry.
Right? They're hungry.
Yeah. They have a need. They have a desire, something that they feel like is very, very, very important. And so they want to come up to Jesus and be like, hey, this is what we're looking for. Jesus says, you're seeking me not because you saw signs, but because you ate your fill of the loaves.
So it's not so much that they're hungry as much as they have had their fill.
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So they had their hunger met. Right? Mm-hmm. So that thing that they thought they needed in their immediate felt experience has now been met. And what is it that they want? They want
more of it.
More of that.
And isn't that true of like human nature, that once you get something, then you need more of it. You need more of it. You need more of it. And this is kind of the curse of like chasing after success or fame or money or nearly anything on the face of the earth. It's like once you get it, very seldomly are you ever satisfied.
Yeah, because I think that when you identify a need for yourself, right, and that need is essential to keep you going.
Yeah,
and
it's not that these needs are bad, right?
No,
you got to eat.
You got to eat, right?
Yeah,
And that's what I said. That's an essential part of being you. You got to eat.
Yeah,
because if you don't eat over the course of time, you're gonna stop being you, right? And that is death. Right? So you need to eat, but when you identify with that thing as a key element of what makes you you, it reminds me of, I want to say I heard this from, again, Brother Dan Moeller. I don't know. But it is identity found is identity sustained.
Whatever you place your identity in, whatever you truly value in your heart to be the most important thing in life, that's the thing that you will forever be defined by.
Especially if that thing is what meets your needs, and your needs being met is where you ground your identity.
Yeah, something that I grounded my identity in quite some time, and I think that there's still a reality in which I'm disassociating myself from this former life still presently, but was this idea of success. Growing up in an Asian home, there was always after school programs, there was always tutoring. Even in the summertime, my mom made sure that she had curriculum for us to go through.
Bro, what instrument did you play?
What instruments?
Instruments.
Piano, guitar, trumpet, euphonium, French horn.
You play the euphonium?
Yeah. You know what the euphonium is?
No!
It's the fancier word for baritone. It's another brass instrument you hold like this. It's like a small tuba. The euphonium. Yeah, I play like 7 or 8 different instruments.
Oh, man, that's hilarious. What I said, I play the euphonium.
And so for me, like what I could do and how good I could do it was always a source of my identity.
Yeah.
Which was great as long as I was performing well and I was doing something well.
Yeah.
Grades were coming in, I was happy.
Yeah.
The moment that thing starts to dwindle a little bit, it's like, man, I start to lose a core piece of who I am.
Because you're only as good as it's going.
Right.
Because if you find your identity in that, then your identity must be sustained in that thing continually to go well, because you're only as good as it's going.
Right.
And what we see here is that Jesus is pointing to them. Verse 26, Jesus answered them, "Truly, truly, I say to you, you're seeking me not because you saw signs." Now, this is contra what he's been talking about earlier. When he alludes to signs earlier, he's like,
it's typically like almost a negative connotation, right?
Yeah, right. And now he's telling them, you didn't really see the sign. Like, you didn't see what the sign was actually intended to communicate.
Yeah, you missed the actual message.
Right? It's not because you actually saw the signs, but because you ate your fill of the loaves.
Yeah.
So, okay, yeah, cool. So you multiplied the bread, but man, we hungry, and that bread was so yummy, and we need more of that.
And Jesus is almost basically saying this. He says, man, if you thought that whole experience was just about bread, you missed the point.
Yeah.
The bread was there, yes, and the bread was a cool thing, and it's a sign, but it's a sign that points to something.
Yeah. And I mean, I wonder if I would not fall into the same trap had I been there.
Right.
I'm a peasant. I might not know where my next meal is coming, or if I do know where my next meal is coming, I know that I have to work really, really hard to sustain meals, to keep them coming. And I have this man in front of me who gives me bread on bread on bread to the point where 12 baskets are full because I'm so famished and stuffed.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, man, I need to live a life where I'm getting more of that.
Yeah.
So I see that guy again, and it doesn't even dawn on me that he multiplied bread as much as I am committed to me getting bread. So I'm completely bypassing the enormity of the person in front of me and what they've demonstrated, precisely because I'm like, I need more bread. So I prioritize my need at the expense of the person. Right?
When all along that sign was meant to draw you to the person instead of just looking at some bread on the table.
Right. Last night, you and I, we went to a church. Right? We went to church Bridgetown in Portland, and the pastor there, John Mark, he talked about passive spirituality.
Yeah.
Right. And he talked about how important it is to endure the suffering in this world according to the grace that God has given. And that passive spirituality is this growing while suffering well, not because your needs are met, but because you know the way to the Father. And in knowing the Father, you know that you're good in spite of what you're suffering.
It's a very immature kind of faith. Not that this is necessarily bad. It's just towards the beginning of a faith journey, right? But it is an incomplete, it is an immature type of faith that requires things to be fixed around you. It's an immature type of faith that depends on a full belly, that depends on a sign or a wonder. And as we grow and as we mature, we learn what is it like to actually trust not in just the signs and the wonders and the externals, but what God has actually said and has accomplished on our behalf.
Yeah, because you can get to that place where if you don't mature beyond the need of your belly, that you're only as good as your belly is going. And that's where Paul says things like, their God is their belly, right?
Yeah.
And so I think for me, the question is, in light of what's going on in this Jesus story thus far, particularly as he's transitioning to the populace, to the people, away from the religious leaders in the previous section, is in what ways me, Jonathan, a common man, I'm nothing, I don't have any standing in this world. I'm not an aristocrat, I'm just a common man. But in what ways in my common day-to-day experience have I seen my needs trump my desire for a need to be met, trump my desire for the person who's actually has met my needs at every single step of the way?
Yeah.
Right? Where have I been living at the expense of the person, seeking after the filling of my belly?
Yeah.
And I know that there have been times that I've related to Jesus as Santa Claus in the sky.
as a really cool vending machine that's free.
Yeah. So we prioritize that which we can get. If the blessings go up, If the praises go up,
blessings come down, right?
Which is, it's a cool song. Yeah, thanks, Chance. But blessings don't come down because praises go up. Blessings come down because he's good.
Yeah.
Right? He causes his blessing to come down on those who praise and those who don't praise.
Yeah, he causes the sun to shine on both the righteous and the wicked.
Right? And so if I prioritize the blessing, I'm overlooking the goodness of the person.
Yeah.
Which is where my life and sustenance is actually rooted. Because if I labor for the bread of this world, I'm overlooking the bread of heaven that is the true meat.
Yeah.
That is the real thing that's going to sustain us.
Yeah. So it's not that these things that we chase after are bad. It's that if you stay there, you've missed the point.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about what that looks like in the next 10.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Hey movers, I recently got to travel to the Logos headquarters and ended up recording several tutorials on how you and I can get more from our Bible study using Logos. To see the entire playlist of videos, visit logos.com/themove and get 10% off any Logos 8 product you want. logos.com/themove.